Yo, what's good, guys? It's Arsenal versus Palace away from home. And let's not forget, guys, how good Arsenal was last season when they went away. When you think about it, Arsenal had 10 clean sheets away from home. And not just that, but they claimed 39 points out of a possible, 57? That's incredible. They literally had dominated the league in terms of their away form. And not just that, and this is the most important thing, the London derbies. Arsenal, out of 12 London derbies, they won 10 and drew 2. So Arsenal were very impressive. But when you look at these things, I don't think the injuries really bother us too much, because if you're saying that Timber is out and then Zinchenko comes in, and then whatever you were doing at right back with Thomas Partey last week, Ben White comes in, then what you're doing is you're actually relaxing into the same format that we had last year, which was very successful. The only other teams that we were really struggling with was maybe Brentford. And then towards the end of the year, we were struggling because a lot of players like Thomas Partey and Ramsdale went off form. Injuries obviously took their toll on the team. So there are many different excuses you can use for what happened on the tail end of last season. But before the World Cup in the first half of the season, at 17 games, it was 15 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. So Arsenal pretty much is reverting back to that team. So I don't think that that's a negative thing, guys. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. In regards to what we're doing with the team, Ramsdale has done nothing to lose his job. He's absolutely done nothing to lose his starting role. So he starts for me. Raya, for now, you can pick up the slack. And it's got nothing against you, Raya. You might statistically be the better goalkeeper, although Arsenal's competition and Brentford's competition in regards to where they were and the teams that they were with are very different. So you have to look at the fact that we didn't have Jesus, who's a decent hold-up player, but he's not Ivan Toney. And when you're a goalkeeper like Ray and you're kicking to Ivan Toney, that makes a big difference in your distribution. You can hit the ball 60 yards knowing that Tony's going to hold up play. But if you don't do that against Arsenal, you don't have really any guarantees of anybody holding up play. And that's the big difference between the goalkeeper stats. So some of the stats can be misleading, guys. I'm not saying anything against Raya. I'm just saying that when you have Ivan Toney to kick to, then it's going to improve your stats tenfold. So for me, guys, Ramsdale stays in goal. Zinchenko at left back, hopefully I think that that's going to happen. He's another one of the brain machines there. And please bring Gabriel back into the team, whatever he was doing last week as an experiment. Let's work on that. Work on that in regards to what you're doing in training, and work on that in regards to what you're doing when you're playing teams like Fulham, etc. You can't be taking everybody lightly, especially away from home. So I'm going with the back two of Saliba and Gabriel there, and bring Ben White back at right back. And remember, you always have Kivior, Tomiyasu, all those guys are waiting in the wings. So you've got the depth there to play around with it. Midfield, what are you doing with Thomas Partey, man? Just put him and Rice together and let them dominate games and have Odegaard pick up the slack. That's the midfield that we want to see. Yeah? We want to see the trio of Odegaard, Rice and Partey. And the fans have been wanting to see that from pre-season. And I know the experiment phase and all that was fine. That's great. You know, we accept all of that. But I think for us, you have to understand that the coaches, they foresee all these different things in their system, and they want to toy about with things to see what they can play with potentially as plan Bs or plan Cs. But I think the stale plate foundation you want is Odegaard, Rice and Thomas Partey. You know, that's what you want. So I think that that's what we're going to go with. It gets more interesting up front. Okay, so we're not talking about dropping Martinelli or Saka, so they start. Well, what are you going to do with your striker? So Havertz is going to give you that big physical form, is going to give you that hold-up play, is going to give you that fantastic movement, which he has. But if you're talking about having a number 9 up there production-wise, Nketiah scored 5 goals in his last 10 league starts in relief of Jesus' injury, you shouldn't drop Eddie. So for me, Eddie starts. And I think that that's where you have to... Sorry about the trains here, guys. You have to reward players for their effort and for their production. And if Eddie is on his game and scoring goals, then that's what you got to start with. But the Premier League is already starting out to be one tricky sort of setup for all the teams that are trying to produce. And Arsenal need clean sheets. You need to produce, you need to play at your optimum level. Man City at the moment, as well as Crystal Palace, are the only two teams that haven't let goals in. And obviously we're playing Palace because they got a game in hand. But outside of that, if we score against Palace, then that means that City are the only team after 2 games that haven't let a goal in. That's a bad sign for everybody, because they were playing teams that could have easily scored against them. The game they had against Newcastle last season ended up in 3-3. And Newcastle weren't even close to scoring against Man City. So, yeah, my concerns are, look, you just have to keep up with what's going on and don't worry about anything else. So I'm going for an away 2-0 Arsenal win. Let me know what your thoughts are, guys. I'm looking for Nketiah to get on the score sheet, and then maybe Saka or Odegaard. And also looking for a good follow-up game from Martinelli as well. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, and I'll talk to you later on. Peace, man.